In a statement, U.S. President Joe Biden said that the NATO alliance remains, and I quote, as strong and united as it has ever been. With this threat from Russia, what sort of challenges are being posed to that unity now?
Well, actually, and thanks for having me, I think President Biden is right. I mean, I've been here for 20 plus years, and I've never seen NATO so united and so strong and getting stronger by the day. We, the allies, are really looking at this challenge really through the same prism, and they see the same solutions, or at least the same approaches. And we have four approaches to this challenge. One is to do our best to support the Ukrainians by providing them humanitarian support, and allies are providing them with military support so they can fight. Second is to draw a thick line around NATO territory to make it absolutely clear that we will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of NATO's power, and that's why we are pushing troops to the east. The third part is to put pressure on Russia, and that's principally through sanctions. That's not NATO, but NATO allies, the EU, Canada, and that's having an effect. And the fourth is to isolate Russia diplomatically, and that's work that's taking place in the UN and others. So we are trying to do all these four things at the same time to help bring this war to an end.
So it's kind of like, cleaning the wound, but not putting the Band-Aid on it. I'm wondering this. What is the red line that could cause NATO to change its approach? Is it chemical? Is it biological? Is it, nuclear, tactical weapons? Does that red line even exist?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about red lines in the past, and I don't think the leaders who were here yesterday wanted to find clear red lines, including because ambiguity is useful. If you draw a clear line, then your adversary comes right up to the edge of it, but they also should not know what the response will be. But what has been stated very clearly by the Secretary General and by others is any use by Russia of chemical weapons, biological weapons, or God forbid, anything even more dramatic than that, would fundamentally change the character of this conflict and would obviously fundamentally change the way in which the allies are going to respond. But beyond that, they did not define in public what we would do, and it seems unwise. It is unwise to do that.
What are you hearing, in those sidebars, if you will, the conversations that happen not around the big table, but at the tables all over that are, adjuncts and aides, et cetera? What sort of mood are you sensing?
I think one of the moods, and this was very much played out after President Zelensky spoke to the leaders yesterday, I think it's a mood that's shared really around the world. The unbelievable courage being shown by the Ukrainians to fight for their own security and for their own lives is just getting so much respect from all the NATO leaders, but not just respect, it's getting support. So I just want to stress, we are providing, allies are providing as much material support as we can. Second is a determination that what President Putin is doing in this unprovoked mass attack against a country that did nothing to anybody except want to stand free cannot be allowed to succeed. We need, because the long-term implications of success for President Putin will resonate and spread far beyond Ukraine. So there's absolute determination on the part of NATO to ensure that we do our absolute best to support the Ukrainians and defend NATO territory. That will happen without a doubt.
James, final question for you. It has to deal with the other president in all of this, Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. He has been speaking before parliaments of various countries, Canada being one of that, the first world leader to virtually address Canada's House of Commons. He did it in Britain, he did it in France, et cetera. At what point do his words stop resonating, that NATO says, listen, it doesn't matter what you say, we cannot give you a no-fly zone, we can't do this, we can't do that? And I mean, does it resort to him begging?
Well, I'll say this, and it's not me who said it first, but it really resonated with me. I think President Zelensky is reminding a lot of us across the democratic world that we have to fight for our freedoms and our values, and how to fight for our freedoms and our values. And that's resonating far beyond this fight. But the reality is we have to make our own decisions at NATO about what makes sense, to do the absolute maximum we can do to support Ukraine, but avoiding the outcome of a wider European war. We cannot have a wider European war. That's the only thing worse than this. So we'll do our absolute best within the constraints that we have.